From JBS Studios in Greater New York, this is the JBS News Update with Teisha Bader.
I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Tuesday, October the 17th, 2023. U.S. President Joe Biden will make an official visit to Israel tomorrow, Wednesday. He wrote to stand in solidarity in the face of Hamas's brutal terrorist attack. Biden said he will then travel to Jordan to address dire humanitarian needs, meet with leaders, and make clear that Hamas does not stand for Palestinians' right to self-determination. The meetings in Jordan will reportedly be a four-way summit in Amman hosted by Jordan with Egyptian and Palestinian leaders. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken addressed the press yesterday on Biden's visit, saying he's coming here at a critical moment for Israel, for the region, and for the world, and shared the president's goals for the visit.
First, the president will reaffirm the United States' solidarity with Israel and our ironclad commitment to its security. President Biden will again make clear, as he's done unequivocally since Hamas's slaughter of more than 1,400 people, including at least 30 Americans, that Israel has the right and indeed the duty to defend its people from Hamas and other terrorists and to prevent future attacks. The president will continue to coordinate closely with our Israeli partners to secure the release of hostages taken by Hamas, including men, women, small children, Holocaust survivors, and American citizens, as an indispensable humanitarian effort.
Blinken also said the president will hear from Israel what it needs in its defense and continue to work with Congress to that end, and will address how Israel will conduct its operations in a way that minimizes civilian casualties and enables humanitarian assistance to flow to civilians in Gaza in a way that does not benefit Hamas, adding that the U.S. and Israel agreed to develop a plan that will enable humanitarian aid from donor nations and multilateral organizations to reach civilians in Gaza and them alone, Blinken said, with reports of Hamas stealing supplies sent to Gaza meant for its civilians. Blinken was in Jordan today, where he met with Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas. The IDF said today that an explosion of a hospital in Gaza that left several hundred dead that was blamed on Israel was not its doing, saying that from the analysis of the IDF's operational systems, an enemy rocket barrage was carried out towards Israel, which passed in the vicinity of the hospital when it was hit. According to intelligence information from a number of sources we have, the Palestinian Islamic Jihad organization is responsible for the failed shooting that hit the hospital. Meanwhile, rockets from Gaza continued to be fired at southern Israel, several making direct hits on homes in the city of Sderot, causing major damage, but no injuries reported. Most of the city's residents have evacuated since the Hamas onslaught. Barrages of rockets from Gaza were also fired throughout the day today at central Israel, including Tel Aviv. And the IDF continues its airstrikes on terror targets in Gaza, saying today that it eliminated the commander of Hamas's Central Brigade in Gaza, who was also the former head of military intelligence, who directed many attacks against Israeli civilians and was involved in the planning of the abduction of IDF soldier Gilad Shalit. Rockets were also fired at northern Israel from Lebanon, and the IDF said an anti-tank missile was fired from Lebanon toward northern Israel earlier today. 2 IDF reservists were injured there, one lightly and one moderately. An Israeli civilian was also lightly injured. The IDF responded with artillery fire. Israel also intercepted an unmanned aircraft that approached Israeli airspace from Lebanon, and the IDF thwarted an attempted infiltration by a terrorist cell from Lebanon and killed the 4 terrorists. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz arrived in Israel today and met with Prime Minister Netanyahu and President Herzog, saying Germany has only one place and it is alongside Israel. Scholz said Germany's history and the responsibility it had for the Holocaust requires us to help maintain the security and existence of Israel. Romanian Prime Minister Marcel Ciolacu also arrived in Israel today and met with Netanyahu. And Commander of CENTCOM, U.S. Central Command, General Michael Kurilla is in Israel conducting high-level meetings with Israel's military leadership, CENTCOM said, to gain a clear understanding of Israel's defense requirements and outline U.S. support efforts to avoid expansion of the conflict. U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin directed the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower carrier strike group to begin moving to the eastern Mediterranean on Saturday, part of our effort, he said, to deter hostile actions against Israel or any efforts toward widening this war following Hamas's attack on Israel. The Eisenhower joining the USS Gerald Ford, which arrived in the Mediterranean earlier this week. 99 members of the U.S. Senate signed on to co-sponsor a resolution in support of Israel's defense and in condemnation of Hamas's attacks and Iran's support. Chair of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, Ben Cardin, who co-led the effort with Senate leadership, said the fact that nearly every senator has signed on to this urgent legislation, Rand Paul being the one senator who did not, is a testament to the strength of the U.S.-Israel alliance and sends a clear and unequivocal message that we stand shoulder to shoulder with Israel in its hour of need. Cardin said, "I look forward to swiftly passing our resolution at the first opportunity." Taking a look now at our programming for tonight on JBS for Tuesday, October the 17th at 7 o'clock, addressing his congregation of the Stephen Wise Free Synagogue on the first Shabbat after the brutal Hamas attacks on October the 7th, Rabbi Ammiel Hirsch discusses the importance of showing up and the different ways of doing so amid this defining moral struggle of our times. At 7:30, Shahar Azani speaks with former Israeli ambassador to the U.S. and former Deputy Foreign Minister Danny Ayalon about the diplomatic arena as Israel battles Hamas. At 8, author and journalist Yossi Klein Halevi and former Israeli ambassador to the U.S. Michael Oren look at post-1973 Israel. At 9, Yossi Beilin is on L'chaim. At 10:30, Eric Goldman speaks with Shani Rozanes about her documentary on the life of Golda Meir. And coming up next, it's the ILTV's Insider. And that's the JBS News Update for Tuesday, October the 17th, 2023. I'm Teisha Bader. Am Yisrael Chai.